Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I am delighted to be able to review for you the brand new 5th studio album from UK based, I think they're from Birmingham actually, old school death metal, newcomers but yet veteran musicians, I'll get onto that, the mighty Memoriam with their excellent album Rise to Power. Now this is a brilliant album. I'm really enjoying this. Huge fan, massive fan of Memoriam since the release of For the Fallen, their debut album. And I probably can't really show you clearly enough the Memoriam tattoo that I have there, but absolutely love this band. Love the artwork. Another great Dan Seagrave cover there. Absolutely brilliant. It's just dark, it's deep, but it's just so Memoriam. It's dripping with Memoriam. So as I say, Memoriam are an old school death metal band, a relatively new band on the block, and they have an absolutely exceptional rate of releases. First album released in 2017. Since then, they have released 5 studio albums. So across a 6-year period from 17 to 23, we have 5 studio albums. Absolutely incredible. And I did talk about Memoriam very recently as a band that you need to hear, and they really are a band that you need to hear. So, although I say they're a relatively new band on the block, they are in fact comprised of very renowned musicians. We have Carl Willits, formerly of Bolt Thrower, on vocals, and I will say that overall, compared to the previous 4 albums, Carl's vocals are harsher, more aggressive, certainly than any other Memoriam album, verging on just as heavy, or maybe a little bit heavier at times, more aggressive than some of the Bolt Thrower material that he delivered a killer performance on. Then we've got Frank Healy on bass, formerly of Benediction. Then we have Mr. Scott Fairfax on guitar, been involved with countless projects and bands, a fantastic guitarist, absolutely brilliant, delivers a flawless performance on this album. This guy is so full of killer riffs. Then we've got Spike T. Smith on drums. Now he joined just before the release of their last album, their 4th album, To the End, which is a brilliant album, and he is a fantastic drummer, absolutely kills it here. So you've got 4 very talented, very, very unique musicians. Brilliant. There's a whole wealth of experience and just talent here. So, as I say, this is their 5th album. In terms of heaviness, this is without a doubt the heaviest Memoriam album that we've had to date. It does seem that ever since For the Fallen, their first album, as I say, way back in 2017, they have followed a trajectory of just getting heavier and heavier with each release. The Silent Vigil was heavier, notably heavier than For the Fallen. Then we had Requiem for Mankind, which was considerably heavier, again, than the first 2 albums. Then we had To the End, which was heavier than everything else. And once again, following that trend, Rise to Power is heavier than its predecessors by far. So talk a little bit about the album then and the wealth of killer riffs and material contained within. We've actually only got 8 tracks, but they are quite long in length, averaging between 5 and 6 minutes a piece. I think This Pain, the closing track, and Never Forget, Never Again, 6 Million Dead, the opening track. I believe that they actually they exceed 6 minutes, but really just brilliant material. This is definitely the most, I'm going to say, the most progressed album. There's a considerable improvement in the songwriting and song structuring. Not to say that any of the predecessors weren't well written or well delivered or structured or anything like that, because they were, but this is next level stuff. And just take that opening track, Never Forget, Never Again, 6 Million Dead, of course, about the Holocaust and the Second World War. An absolutely brilliant track. It's dark, it's aggressive, it has this real air of almost this old school sort of oppression to it. Although it's well produced, Again, this album's been produced by Russ Russell, just like the last album. A brilliant production job, but the whole album has like a rawness to it, a real, like an uncaged energy, a real furious attack. Certainly on Total War, the second track, that is a relentless, brutal old school death metal track, really hard hitting, some killer crushing riffs open up that track. Then throughout we get different paces, Scott's delivery of some absolutely killer guitar work just makes the whole thing so fluid, but yet such a dynamic mix. I Am the Enemy delivers a little bit more of a Death Doom vibe, a little bit slower paced, but vocally Carl absolutely delivers, and the lyrics are so powerful as well. He's got a real character, he's got a real depth to his lyrics. It's not just all about machine guns and aircraft, it's about the people affected by war. There's depth to it, there's real depth. The Conflict Within, another brilliant track, as is Annihilation's Dawn, just really strong death metal tracks. All Is Lost, another brilliant track, but I particularly enjoy the closing two tracks. We've got the title track Rise to Power, which is a particularly brilliant moment, very deep. We've got a big chorus, big shouting chant chorus, Rise, really hooky stuff. It's actually really memorable. All of this material is really memorable, which is good, because I think the habit of death metal does tend to be just release brutality after brutality after brutality, and some of the songs can just blend into one another. But these tracks really do stand out. So I would say, again, Rise to Power, absolutely brilliant track. And also the closing track, This Pain. We've got real depth there. It's really dark. It's got that sort of oppressive atmosphere. But throughout the whole album, the musicianship is first rate. Spike T. Smith, in fact, absolutely kills it on this album. He is a very good drummer. Scott, as I've mentioned, phenomenal guitarist, and him alongside, or his cutting guitar alongside Frank's bass thundering along, they're a brilliant duo. So top-notch music here, absolutely love it. I've been listening to it a lot since it came out, although annoyingly it came a week late for me, even though I pre-ordered it. A little bit frustrating, which is why the review is a bit later on, but this is a top-notch album. If you like the first 4 Memoriam albums, no doubt you will love this album. If you haven't heard Memoriam, then I would say this is as good a place to start as any, but definitely go back and check out those other albums. If you haven't seen the Bands You Need to Hear episode, definitely go back and check those albums out. Check out that review, get yourself up to speed. Memoriam, Rise to Power. Absolutely solid old school death metal from some very talented and well-renowned musicians. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Feel free to like and subscribe as always. Do let me know your thoughts and opinions on this mighty fine album. If you haven't heard it, you need to go and check it out. Of course, as always, take care, my friends, and stay heavy.